definitely like, where are they? The timeline, like you're talking about, and all these little details. And you take every little bit of detail from your character creation and throw those lines into the AI.
So more like point form
Yeah.
is all you need, really.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is if you're stuck.
Okay.
But we're giving you like tools and like a basic process to follow if you're like, I have no idea.
Last week we talked about why everybody is going to be creating Metaverse characters and lore story, and this week we're going to break down how to create your own. This is the Metaverse podcast. I'm Archetype, and with me is my co-host Atlas Theory.
What's up, guys? How's it going? Welcome back to another episode. Now, to kick things off, we're going to dive into some news from around the Metaverse. So I'm going to pass it back over to Archetype. What have you been seeing going on, man?
Yes. Well, you may have heard before that gaming platform Steam had banned any NFTs. This happened last year. And we've seen more of this, unfortunately. Company Take-Two Interactive, which is the parent company to GTA, they've come out with a statement saying that they're banning any third party buying or selling of any crypto or NFTs, which is interesting. So Grand Theft Auto itself does not have these sorts of things, but there is some third parties that are doing like crates and loots and stuff like that they are having a bit of a workaround and selling these items. Now, Take-Two Interactive has come back and said that we are putting a stop to that, which is interesting, but I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a little bit of sidestepping. There's already another company called My Metaverse, which is doing a little bit of a workaround. So I feel like as much as they try and ban it, it's promotion, man. It's no news is bad news. You know what I mean?
I do. And what the heck? Because like, I thought I heard whispers of possibly GTA 6 doing some kind of crypto aspect to the game. And to be honest, like, if they did, they would heavily like take in the metaverse market. Like, it'd be insane. Yeah, but I know with traditional gamers, as long as other traditional groups are very anti what is coming. So I understand being careful on some level, but yeah, that's disappointing. GTA would be perfect. Yeah.
I know. Well, there'll just be competition for someone who creates a competitive metaverse that has that.
That is also true.
Not all bad news.
What else have you seen, man?
I'll give you some good news. Okay. So we've had the bad. We'll come back with some good.
Let's do it.
Some positive is Warner Music Group. Okay, which I think is tied in with Warner Brothers and all that sort of stuff. But they have their music side company, Warner Music Group, have partnered with LGND, and they're going to do some NFTs on Polygon.
Oh.
Which is interesting.
That is interesting.
Polygon, they're movers and shakers, man. They've partnered with Disney. Now they've partnered with Warner Music Group. So very interesting to see what happens there.
Dude, yeah, that's crazy. Polygon's definitely making some moves. So I feel like I need to explore the ecosystem a little bit more than I have, which I haven't. So just maybe a little bit of a taste, but yes, that is good news. It's cool to see some of these traditional companies, coming in, getting their feet wet, trying out some of these NFTs or digital collectibles or however you want to brand it, so everybody is happy. But no, that's cool. Awesome. No, that's very, very sick.
I think the more like people come at this approach, even if it's a Web 2 approach where, maybe the resale and stuff like that, people aren't getting the best deal out of, it's kind of that progression that you see with like understanding crypto and things like that. you start off maybe with a Coinbase wallet, then you soon realize that it's better to save your assets away from exchanges, and then you slowly learn about that and make that move. So if these Web2 companies are thinking about adopting people into the Metaverse and NFT space, and they call it digital collectibles or something else, and they get this audience in, they're going to learn more, and then they're going to realize that maybe this isn't the best platform, and then they'll eventually move to a proper like Web3 sort of space where their interests are at heart rather than companies just making money. So these companies, man, they're bringing people in, and eventually those people get educated and move out from those older legacy systems, and into the proper like Web3 space.
And I think it's happening faster than we actually realize. Like the board is being set, and I think it's almost done. The pieces are almost all in place. So now we get to play the game here soon. So very, very cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the news I saw this week, man. But let's jump in, man. I was excited from last week. We talked about why people were creating these metaverse characters, or why they would want to do such things. So hopefully we've whet their appetite, and now they're looking at, all right, what's the next step? Like, how would someone who has no experience with creating a lore story, how would they dive into that, and what tools you would suggest they start with?
Cool. Yeah, let's dive in. Really enjoyed last week's episode. If you want a starting point, go back, listen to that one. It really gives you the why. Starting point. I feel like we need to start in Web 2 and evolve kind of the timeline. So just to paint a picture of like the age that we're entering, we've had storytelling forever. Some of them being your favorite movies or books, others a D&D campaign podcast, all the way into like short form little histories of restaurants up on their wall or on their menus. Story is literally everywhere. And we are headed into an age where that is becoming more and more important. So world building. Let's start in that. World Anvil. Probably number one world building tool from Web 2. I see no hints of them venturing into Web 3, which is a little disappointing. I feel that like there's huge opportunity for someone to come in and heavily borrow their platform and plug in some Web3 and AI tools, and it would be a banger. So that's interesting. The good old pen and ink, or any sort of writer out there, Celtics or Final Draft if you're a screenwriter. There's all these tools that we've kind of heard about forever, so I don't want to go too deep into all of them. But if you're looking for world building specifically, and I'm talking about your character, family tree, friend tree, enemies, pets, their city, events in that city, their entire world, and blah, 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 blah. You get the point. That is a great tool, and one I suggest starting with.
Yeah, I checked out World Anvil. It opened my eyes to the way people tie in storyline. And we talked about it a little bit in your Web3 space that we had on Twitter Spaces.
Yeah.
But it opens your eyes to like how story is much more connected and deep. Like there was things that I saw in there that I had not thought about. Like you mentioned, like interaction with different characters, whether they like those other characters, what are their family history, pets, likes, dislikes, where not just where it's set or the character, but it starts to expand out further, and it gives you a bit more understanding of like how far you can take this storyline. and involve other characters. And I think that that's important. So when you mentioned World Anvil, it's worth checking out, even if you don't use it,
Mm-hmm.
just to see what potential that you could create.
Yeah, it really is. Um, World Anvil is not only a world builder, but like you can run D&D campaigns and build out like all these types of worlds. But I don't also want to hype it too much. I think it's like a Web 2 cluster of info that is not well organized.
Yeah,
It is
yeah,
very hard to get started from someone who doesn't understand some terms, you know.
yeah,
Like I still have to search for my world, you know, and like when I want to switch in between different worlds that I'm writing, I'm just waiting for someone to like come in and yeah push forward with that. But let's not move. Let's move forward a little bit into some of the Web3 things we've seen, and it
mm,
hasn't been a lot. We went through kind of a meta with NFTs where um, world building and lore and branding was like so important, right? But all they've done is like
yeah,
release little text based stuff. Um,
yes,
so even there, it's like not fully flushed out yet. So I'm really like, I'm kind of waiting for tools to be kind of part of the platform, I guess, or some kind of way to influence NFTs. No, I do know, a company I work for, Infinity Labs, um, is kind of maybe one of the few who are doing this where they have community submitted lore, and those lore um, pieces are able to become part of the NFT, like written on it
mm,
in the
mm,
metadata, yeah, whatever. um, and so that's really cool. And I think more NFTs are going to go that way. Um, but I think AI, when we arrive at the AI sector, is
mm.
where we're really going to see things shine. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel for someone who's starting out, like when I first dabbled in law, there was no AI um, available, or maybe there was, but I wasn't aware of it. And so I literally thought that I had to sit down and write this full story and have all the nuts and bolts, everything worked out, all the detail. And I think that that puts a lot of people off. And that's not necessarily what we're talking about here. We're talking about like a launching off, like starting to think about your character.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's good to have a little bit of an idea of like what your character might be. I think everyone has uh, probably something in mind already. And so with AI, what's interesting is like you can literally have one sentence, right,
Mm-hmm.
about who your character might be. And you can throw it into this AI generator and it will spit out anything from a paragraph to multiple paragraphs and chapters of story the more you develop it. And it's quite fast, isn't it?
It is. It is. And I think you're touching on something that maybe like we're talking about tools at the moment, but let's actually go through how, like step by step.
Okay.
And I think what you just mentioned,
Yeah.
like a line of text can be put into AI, right? So that was actually probably one of the starting points I do is first of all, create your metaverse character, right? Find their
Mm-hmm.
name, and then you do the basic like profile creation. Uh, what's their age? Where do they live? Blah blah blah. But then maybe just start writing things about them, like my character was orphaned,
Mm-hmm.
and throw that into AI and see what comes out.
Yeah.
You know, And then do that for like each kind of bit of information that you've written or can write about your character. And I'm talking like pen and paper first, or like on a Google Doc,
Yeah.
and kind of just start getting little points of detail and interest and throw it into AI.
Hmm.
I think that's probably a great step too after you create your metaverse character. What do you think?
Well, I was going to ask, do you think it's important to place that character in a timeline first?
Oh, like a
Like, would you
place and
say that?
setting and
Yeah, do you think that that's important, like first step, or do you think like just work with the character first and then work out where that fits in the timeline of history?
yeah. So no, that's a good point. I think I would throw that into like character creation. Um, but
Hmm.
yeah, maybe like
At the very beginning.
yeah, we can. Maybe this is like a Twitter thread after we post this podcast. Maybe after
Yeah.
on this post, go to Twitter, guys, or in the show notes, and we'll like create a one through whatever little list for you guys to
Oh
follow.
yeah.
But yeah, I think character creation is definitely like where are they? The timeline, like you're talking
Mm.
about, and all these little details, and you take every little bit of detail from your character creation and throw those lines into the AI.
So more like point form
Yeah,
is all you need, really.
right.
Yeah.
And this is if you're stuck.
Okay.
Like,
Hmm.
these aren't cemented, you know, lists. Like for me, I already know like where I want my character to go, who I want him to meet, the things he values. And this is just because like I've
Hmm.
sat and I've thought about it and I've kind of written it down on a piece of paper. So if you already have all of
Yeah.
this, you're like a lot further along, but we're giving you
Yeah.
like tools and like a basic process to follow if you're like, I have no idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes.
A era
Mm,
metaverse, might be like Sandbox or something like that, or maybe a futuristic one, something like Star Atlas,
hmm.
or maybe someone builds something that's like a metaverse that is in medieval time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could your character adapt and go into that? And it's sort of like it's almost like the time travel movie, right?
Right.
Like, could your character easily go into these different metaverses in different points in time? Do you think that that's something to
I
consider?
think it is important to, but I think that it really depends on if you're also like putting content out there, like as a content creator, or if you're creating the story like for yourself. Because you can always switch
Yeah.
things up if it's like for yourself, right? But if you're like establishing a fantasy character, it's really hard to get that character into like a space setting. So a lot of us are starting
Mm.
off, I think, in more space sci-fi settings with the ability to, like you were saying, time travel and do all these things. But I think that it still doesn't maybe change the fundamental story. But I think you do need to establish that, like, what timeline they do start off in. I think that is important. Yeah, yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good interjection
Like
there.
their original
Yeah, the
verse.
original verse. And I think that like really comes,
Yeah.
and that's cool. We're going to be all like really different. Cuz
Mm.
like yeah, if you enjoy fantasy, of course you're going to start in a fantasy world. How are you getting to the
Yeah.
sci-fi one? I have no idea. Maybe there's some like cool time traveling archetype
Collect. Yeah.
chip that picks you up. Yeah.
You collect the special crystals and you put it in the time machine.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true.
You hold
Like
on.
there's so many things to like consider, as you're building out, a story. And if you do want to like get good at this, like there's so many resources, books, podcasts, YouTube videos that are like right
Mm.
there for free that you can like
Yeah.
learn story building and like learn how to build a character and go around all these different aspects building on a story
Mm.
and a character. Yeah.
So, talking AI,
Mm.
what program or what platform or what tool would you suggest people start off with? Because you mentioned, throw it into AI, but what programs are available?
Mm. So there's one that's blowing up all over, well, the internet, I should say. Chat. I always mix this up. GDP, G
G- GP? Yeah,
GPT,
GPT, I think.
GPT.
Yes.
I think I named
I
it
think
time
if you
zone or
go
something.
to. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's openai.com
Mm,
is the one I used.
yeah.
And that was really good. I think that's the one you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, there's that one. I'm spacing the other name, but it's basically the same. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, as far as writing goes. And um, once you have like those texts, like even using the AI art ones like Midjourney, to extra
Mm.
like build out that character with visual representation is also very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Um,
Yeah, so with that website, like you literally like have like a little text box that you start putting information in.
mm-hmm.
And then that's what you were saying, like you copy just like a one line sentence and then it generates, like it expands on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like it's really good with reading that text box, reading that prompt. So for instance, I'm going to just use myself. Like Atlas Theory
Mm.
is my character is younger than me. It's like me in my 20s. So Atlas Theory is like a 25
Yeah.
year old guy growing up in a futuristic ancient Egyptian like city. He is, and then you can throw that
Ooh.
prompt in. If you can add more too, like,
Yeah.
he has no parents and he is searching for meaning in his life. Enter and see what comes out.
Okay.
You know,
So that's as simple as that, just
it's as
that. And
simple
then
as
it will
that.
go bleh
Yeah,
and
yeah,
spit out more.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Expand on
And you
it.
can say like write a paragraph.
Cool.
Write a large amount, or you know, so a lot of cool stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you.
So kind of like
Mhm.
kind of like when you say like hey Siri or hey Google, like give me this, it's kind of like doing the same thing, right?
Yeah, yeah, kind of.
Hmm.
We'll have the voice someday. You know it. Anyways, that's
Yeah.
another topic I really want. I'll get into at some point. Uh, so, like from there, it's like um, you kind of decide what you want to keep, what you don't want to keep, and really, it's just building
Mm-hmm.
out that character. Now, when we talk about lore, we
Mm-hmm.
go a little bit deeper because we may want to build out an entire story around them, right? Versus just their
Yeah.
background or who they are. Um,
True.
so this is where you get into like the world anvils or simply just like old style writing or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, however you can best create, do it. I, I think it was last year, wrote a book using voice to text because I didn't want to sit there and write everything out. And
Yeah.
those tools are
Yeah.
available now. Like there's no excuse not to build out a story if you want to. But
Yeah.
I guess I should backtrack a little bit. Step 3, let's put these steps in the context of writing a story off of your
Okay.
character. So,
And this is instruction we're going to post in the comment section
yes.
of when we drop this episode.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to put in the comment section step 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
and then we're going to see what people come up with.
Yeah. It's going to be really, really fun.
Okay.
So step
So step
1.
1, step 2 is done.
Yes.
Step 3, you're on to
start plotting out a series of events for your character. And this is where you kind of want to think of like maybe from the prompts you've kind of gotten a better feel to like, oh, okay, I want to take my character on this adventure and he dies at the end. Right? Or something like that. So now you can start
Yeah.
plotting off events. Maybe during one of the AI lines, it says like character meets his friend named Victoria. Right? So now there's a Victoria. And you could take that and refilter it into the prompt as well and to find out who she is, right? But
Oh
anyways, then
yeah.
you start doing little point lines, like wakes up one day, goes to work, goes to the bar after work, meets Victoria in the bar. Victoria and your main character um, witness a robbery outside. And just using like any type of AI prompts, and they're off on this adventure because they're trying to hunt down the thief that took the family heirloom of a beaten down third character. So now it's a trio
Mm.
off on this grand adventure to recover this item. And that's your story. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's cool. I wish I had these tools previously.
Same, dude.
um, but what is cool is I do have a base story for my character, which now I can riff off and do, like you said, almost like episodes or little adventure stories now that I have sort of the basics.
Mm-hmm.
So I like this progression. You don't have to have the full thought out sort of idea. You just get the base story, and then from there you can have like almost like episodic, you know, things that you can create in your own time when you have time.
Yeah. This list, like you're saying, like everything's changing, guys. The way we create content, like you don't have to sit there and think of this beautifully plotted out, you know, storyline from the beginning to start writing. Like you're kind of starting to write before kind of that by using the AI prompts
Yeah.
and like finding those lines of, history you want to put into those AI prompts and then organizing, those. And then you can start
Yeah.
to write out, some story. And then there's even writing before that happens. So it's like a crazy thing. And I think that whatever structure you can find that gets your story out there is a good structure. Because at the end of the day, it's like our goal is to not be caught in writer's block, because AI can fix that. Just throw a few prompts in, take what you like and go, right? Or not
Yeah.
be stuck by like, if I could only just speak my story. I hate writing
Yes.
and sitting at this computer. Well, you can. There's voice to text, apps. Like, just stand there and tell your story. So many cool
Yeah.
things.
100%. It's like I compare it to in the visual art world. I every day when I get a comment or something like that regarding my artwork, it's always in the negative, like self-reflection, that people will say, "That's amazing, but I could never do that."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what I've found is like everybody is differing levels of being able to create, but a lot of the time it's just more or less what's hindering them or what's stopping them.
Yeah.
For example, like I can do a particular type style of artwork, but I suck at so many other styles. So if I literally like went, oh wow, like I want to draw like a realistic sketch, and I start, I would throw that piece of paper within the first minute because I suck so bad at it. And I feel like that's sometimes where people start and they get no further. And so it's the same for like story writing. Like it is a layered approach. And now these tools are sort of allowing you to start at the very basic layer and then expand and expand and expand. And then what people will find is they are actually pretty good storytellers.
Yeah.
But now it's a period in time where they have the tools to actually aid that storytelling. And that's what I find exciting. Everybody's got a story to tell, man.
Dude, everybody does. It's like the age of empowerment, like, these tools out there literally change everything. I know a project you and I have been working on. Do you know how many people or how much money it would take to get to, like, we're still in pre-production, but to even get to the level that we are right now,
Yes.
insane.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk details.
No
it's top
details.
secret,
But
the process, man, the process has been lightning fast.
Yeah, it's so crazy,
and it motivates you along. Like, if we were to do this in like what we're working on, this project, if we were to do that traditionally, you're not getting that buzz of like seeing the finished product like
Yeah.
as you go. It's just too slow, you know what I mean?
Dude, it is.
But when we see like the results, it's just like it spurs you on and you just want to keep creating more and more.
Yeah. It's true.
It's so rewarding.
Yeah. It's just awesome to get that like that instant feedback, like you're saying. It just
Yeah.
so dang motivating. Oh man. And this is coming from
Mm.
like somebody who has procrastination problems and who can't finish anything. Like I'm completing shit, you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome. I guess that kind of brings me to like number 4, which is not so like an in-depth thing, but like I think what we're saying now should be number 4. Like
Mhm.
create any way you can. Like you have a story to tell, just dive in. If you like it,
Yeah.
scrap. If you don't like it, scrap it. Like throw another prompt
Yeah.
into AI. It's not a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the fear is like, why start this when I think the end result will probably suck
Mm-hmm.
and I won't publish it? But because these tools are allowing you to create so fast, it's you could literally do it like in your lunch break, or instead of the endless mindless scroll that you go through laying on the couch for 10-20 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
you could literally be creating like full storylines and being productive. And if it doesn't eventuate to anything, yeah, like you say, scrap it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's so beautiful. I feel that like maybe, and guys, this is going to be a little while till this would come out, but if we could document our process now a little better, so when
Hmm.
we're after we've released what we're working on, it'd be really cool to be like, hey guys, here's how we did it, and here's how you can,
Mm.
yeah, do a similar process. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, man. What we can't discuss too deep
No, yeah.
is frustrating, but when we do finally come out with this, it is going to be a real eye opener,
Mm-hmm.
um, and a real example of how these tools work so well,
Mm-hmm.
and how it still takes some creative process.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's still satisfying. It still feels rewarding. It still feels like we've had a lot of input in what we've been able to create,
Mm-hmm.
even though we've used heavily like a lot of AI writing
Yeah.
and visual tools. It still feels like we are sort of the conductors
Yes.
putting all this recipe together.
That's my favorite term for the coming age is the conductor. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so cool. We could have a whole episode on the conductor. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think we go end it there. Let's put together some form of contest. We'll put those for you guys listening. We'll put those steps in the Twitter or in the show notes. Follow those steps. Create your stories. I think how long should they be? Do you think? Just for the contest's sake, we'd love to see your full stories as well. But
Well, for the contest, I say we keep it to Twitter.
mm-hmm.
Hmm. You could put like a thread in there
Yeah.
if you want to put it on Twitter. So that could be anything from one post or multiple thread posts. Or if you want to put it up on like something like Medium, or if you've got another way that you want to present your work, like put a link to it in the comments,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and we'll go through and we'll read them.
Yeah, definitely. I'll throw mine up there as well under the post. Um, I'll do one post for those of you who, you know, don't maybe just want to do one little one because you're afraid. Like, oh, is it enough? Yes, I'm going to do one little post. Just talking about my
Yeah,
metaverse character. So I hope you guys join me, short or long. Yeah, yeah.
cool. And you guys can also find us at our website,
Mm.
metaversedpodcast.com. That's got all our episodes up there, as well as links to myself and Atlas Theory, what we've been doing in the Web3 space, links to our personal creations and what we're up to as well.
Mm. Perfect. Thank you guys for listening
Cool.
to another episode of the Metaverse. Please hit that like button, subscribe, depending on if you're viewing or listening to us. And if you are listening and you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review. We'd really appreciate it. Get the word out there. Share with some friends. Till next time.